Welcome back to FHL Community Episodes. Last time we talked about culture change, but in order for us to change, we need to be aware of what need to be changed. And once we become aware of maybe the status quo or something that we need to change, then we start the reformation process. But before we can reform, we need people who will do the reformation. So we talk about the atmosphere changers, which are the modern day reformers. And then last time we talked about stories from the front line. You heard about the miracles that God had performed through simple, ordinary people just like you and me. The difference is that they have faith that can move mountains. And yes, we may say, well, how can you have faith that can move mountains? But Jesus said, even only if you have faith as small as mustard seed, you can tell to this mountain, throw yourself in the lake and it will be. Now, Jesus doesn't lie, right? But there are things that we need to learn deeper before we can actually grasp the context of what Jesus is talking about. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. I just want to encourage you. Today is our episode 7. And the name of our episode today is The Future of Food Pantries, Part 1. It's not about food. So let me say that again. The future of food pantries is not about food. Now you may say, Merlin, you're crazy, right? But with new challenges come new ways of doing things. Now I don't have to tell you what are the new challenges that's going on now, not just in your city, in our city, in our state, in this nation, in the entire world. God had turned things upside down, and we cannot fix or we cannot solve problems with old solutions. Maybe solutions that work in the past, but not what we're going through. So again, I just want to talk to you today. It will be a casual conversation today about the concept that we have been sharing with you, that it's not about food, it's about people. And today we're going to talk about the future of food pantries. It's not about food. Yes, it is, we may say it's crazy, but we miss the important part of food pantry. Let me ask you this. What is the most important part in the food pantry? I'll give you a couple seconds. What is the most important part in a food pantry? Many of us will say it's food. That's why it's called food pantry. But you know what? We serve people, not food. And the number one, besides God, in a food pantry are people. It's not food. Yes, we need food in order for us to live, but the most important part of a food pantry is people. That means like the people who are receiving food, the people who are serving food, the people who are creating the system, the people who are providing the food to the food banks and to the food pantries, and later to the community. So I came to United States, as I mentioned to you in the past, back in mid-80s. And it was a culture shock for me when I came to United States. Like most people, maybe even now, will say United States is the land of opportunity, right? It's a superpower. The greatest country in the world has hunger issue. How could that be? Now, since COVID-19, listen to this, more than 54 million people, including 18 million children, are experiencing food insecurity. Not in the greatest country in the world, not with the superpower, the land of opportunity, and yet 54 million people, including 18 million children, are experiencing food insecurity in the land of opportunity. How could that be? Well, let me tell you a little bit. Let me give you a backdrop of this. That the most important thing or the future of Food Pantry is not food, it's people. Let me tell you this. Based on several researches that I will be sharing with you, but just for the sake of time, I can put that later on. The links and the researcher. But a couple of years ago, there was a research done that we throw $162 billion of gross domestic product in this country on a yearly basis. That's 162 billion of gross domestic product is being thrown, to waste every year in this country. Here's another one. 133 billion pounds of food are thrown annually at retail and consumer levels alone. That's pounds. All right, so 133 billion pounds of food are thrown annually at retail and consumer levels. Now, research has found that the average person eats around 4 pounds of food per day. So if you're an average person, they said between 3 to 5 pounds a person can eat in a day. But let's just say 4 pounds, all right? That's the middle of it. If you're an average person, you eat around 4 pounds of food per day. So let's do the math, all right? Earlier, get your calculators. So earlier I said that we throw annually 133 billion pounds of food annually at the retail and consumer levels. That means the restaurants, the grocery stores, the distributors, and also the household. And I'll tell you a shocking revelation, which is the number one culprit in wasting food. I'll tell that to you later on. So let's do the math. If 133 billion, and I have to do it like this because there's a lot of zeros here. So 133, I hope you're doing this with me, 133 billion pounds of food. And if a person eats 4 pounds per day, so we divide 4. So that's 33,250,000,000 pounds of food is needed. Now you divide that by 365. So divided by 365 out of the year, that means it's 95,000 pounds of food. Basically, it's 91 million pounds, 91 million meals that we can provide. So that means that we feed over 91 million per year just on our food waste. Now, that's at zero waste, which is impossible. I don't think we can really keep all the waste, everything, but let's just create the fact that, say, 10%. So 10% of 91 million is what? We can feed 9 million people per year at 3 meals per day. Remember, it's about 4 pounds per day for an average person to eat per day. So that means that we can feed 9 million people per year at 3 meals per day. You can do the calculations later on, but I just want to show that to you. Now, I also mentioned to you that the number one culprit for most food waste in the U.S. is, guess what? You and me. The regular U.S. household. Just think about this. After this episode, go to your refrigerator. See how many expired salad dressing you have there. And I can tell that by experience. See how much rotten vegetables or maybe fruit trays is just like attracting insects, on the counter or whatever. That's just a refrigerator. How about the milk? How about the frozen meat that you kept there because it was on sale and now it's like burned frozen because it's been there for 6 months. And then later on, you, your wife, your, whatever, You look at it and it's full, then you're going to throw them away. That's just from refrigerator. Now look at your cupboard. Look at the expiration date of your canned goods in your cupboard. How about the pastas that you kept during COVID-19? I had somebody who came actually, this was towards the end of summer last year. A person came over and he's got like this big roller freezer cooler that he brought, and he brought a lot of pizzas. He said, you know what, this is just like cluttering my refrigerator and my freezer, and I'm just going to donate it because I bought a lot during this pandemic. Now, again, going back to your cupboard, what about the rice? What about the pasta? What about the soup, ramen or whatever it is that you can throw away immediately because they are expired? So the number one culprit, and again, that's sad to say, but you and I, the regular American household, is the number one waster, if there's a word, waste food in the United States. So, why am I saying this? Let me tell you what, we don't value food because it's very inexpensive. Let me tell you that again. We do not value food. And some of you may say, well, are you crazy? Well, let me give you the facts. If we value food, there should be less waste. I grew up in the Philippines. All right, I told you I came to the United States middle of the 80s. It was a culture shock. In the Philippines, I cannot have steak because the food in the Philippines, the ratio of income and the food that we spend is high. So I cannot eat steak. I cannot go immediately to like a restaurant to eat because it's very expensive. I cannot even go to fast food. And here it's just like, okay, let's go to fast food and here's $5, $7, and that's it. You throw away half of what it is. All these big meals and things and all this waste that happen. You have, hey, would you like to supersize your Coke? Would you like to supersize your fries? And then you throw a lot of things. We do not value food as compared to the rest of the world. They are very expensive outside United States as compared to the U.S. Let me tell you this. Again, this is based on the statistics. We spend about 7% of our income in food. That's for the average, okay? So if you are well-to-do and you eat in a restaurant or whatever, maybe it's a little higher, but you make a lot of money, so probably it's still the same. 7% of our income is spent on food. That's very inexpensive. Now, let me tell you, in Nigeria, they spend 56% of their income in food. So if this happened to this country, and God forbid, I think we will eliminate a lot of waste. So now, after those facts, you may say, Merlin, you're talking about food. You said that the future of Food Pantry is not about food, right? That's okay. But let me show you some facts here again. So it's the people, think about this. It's the people who plant and raise the food that we eat, right? Food just don't go to our table or to our freezer or refrigerator or cupboard. It's the people who plant the food, who distribute the food, who package them, who give them away, who sell them to the ultimate consumer, and that's you and me. It's the people who harvest them, or first of all, it's the people who raise the cattle. It's the people who plant rice and fruits and vegetables. It's the people who harvest them and then who pack them and then who sell them. It's the people who buy the food. It's the people who receive food at food pantries. And yet, 133 billion pounds of food is thrown away every year. By who? By people. So we can say, hey, there's really food shortage in the US. Take a look at the waste. Now, I'm just talking about a little aspect of this food waste, or the supply chain of the food from the farmers. So let me talk about from farmers, right? From farmers to families, food boxes. You probably heard about that. Or maybe you were one of those volunteers who gave away these boxes of food, perishable boxes that include potatoes, produce, fruit, meat, cheese, and also milk. So, it's about 20 pounds. Sometimes it's like 30 pounds, depending on the distributor. So let me tell you about this. Due to the pandemic, the government had given stimulus money and a lot of food for the community, which are the farmers to families' food. There's a lot of food right now. You may heard again that USDA was the one who did this. So let me tell you what happened. Okay, for the stimulus, the USDA, the government, created this system. The government buy the food from the producer. So whether that's farmer, or maybe they raise cattle, whatever kind of food. So the USDA buy those, and then those food boxes are given to the people. So it's good. So it's like really a stimulus to help the farmers and the food producer. They buy those food, and then they give them away to the people in need. So to date, USDA contractors has delivered 153,776,442 boxes of fresh produce, milk, dairy, cooked meats to the disadvantaged Americans across the country, which is worth, listen to this, worth over $6 billion. Now remember, let me go back again to how much we throw, gross domestic product, just to give you a frame of reference. We throw away $163 billion per year. And then with all these boxes of food that you have seen because of the pandemic, it's worth only over $6 billion. So yes, it's all about food, but it's the people who make it happen. So what will happen when all this free food from the government cease? It's gonna happen. It started in May. There were this is the 5th grant that the U.S. government had made, and up to April, and we don't know if there's the 6th round for these families, farmers to families food boxes. So what would happen? What happens when the relief stops? The flow of food. What will happen to the people who receive these food boxes and now they're gone? What will happen to the people? And that's why I say it's about people who receive food and people who produce and give away food. So, so let's take a break a little bit. I know it could be a dizzying thing, all these numbers that I talk about, and billions and millions of pounds in money and what's wasted. So, so we will segue a little bit. You know that we train food pantries to alleviate food insecurity beyond just giving away food. So I'd like for you to look at this video. My name is Merlin Gonzales, President and CEO of Faith, Hope, and Love Community. Faith, Hope, and Love Community is an organization that brings the community together for the betterment of our neighborhoods. We do that through Missional Food Pantry training. We come together through a monthly table talk, which is a collaboration of food pantries and also community resources, so we can address food insecurity beyond just giving away food. At the core of the vision of Faith, Hope, and Love is to empower people. Not one organization can do it all, but through training, and in other words, through discipleship, we are able to reach hundreds and hundreds of people to address the different challenges of our community. And since food is one of the basic human needs, that's where we focus, to provide food while at the same time provide other things that will empower people, starting with the leaders, the volunteers, and also to the clients. What we're hoping for is a community transformation, which means that beyond giving away food, we want to be able to establish relationship with our volunteers, leaders, and also the entire community, because we believe that giving food alone is not enough. We need to invest in people in our community for self-sufficiency and long-term impact in our society. We understand that food insecurity could be a symptom of many different challenges in people's lives. And through that, we bring the experts also to table talks so that they can collaborate and hopefully work together with food pantries who are in the front line of food insecure people and also the people who may be able to help them out. Missional Food Pantry model is a way to be able to understand the deeper needs of people, so that once they come to receive food at one of the missional food pantries, not only they receive food, but also they receive friends. They also receive some other resources that our community partners may be able to provide them. We really want to bring the community together.
The purpose of our Mount Nebo Missionary Food Pantry is to serve our community. Anybody in Indiana can come to this pantry. Okay. So it's just not for this community, it's for everybody. People come, people give their life to God. We get volunteers from the community coming and serve in the pantry because it's touched their homes and their house, so they want to give back to the other community. So it has made a huge impact in our community. My message would be, if you're doing a job like this, because this is a job, if you're doing a job like this, you have to do it with love and purpose. And the purpose is to serve and help others, as God said, love others, serve others. So you just do it with a pure heart.
I'm glad they have it here. It's a very nice pantry. They give you prayer. They have good services here, I'm sure. And they do appreciate the people coming in. They do give us love. So I would always say I would really appreciate a church like this. They're really nice people here. It helps the community in need, because these days and times are hard for people, and they need that. And a lot of pantries I go to, they don't communicate a whole lot with their clients that they come in and they serve you. They just get you in and get you out. These people they like to talk to you, give you prayer, and give you handshakes, get to know you. A lot of people don't know about a pantry until you tell them. I would say, hey man, this is what I can say. I can never give a bad situation. These people we do you just perfect.
I'm Shayna Lawrence. I'm the Assistant Director for the Office of Student Advocacy and Support in the Division of Student Affairs at IUPUI. This is our pantry. It's Pa's Pantry. It's been around since 2013. This is a huge benefit to our students. 1 in 5 IUPUI students are food insecure at some capacity, and so this is a huge blessing to a lot of them to be able to come here. It's in the middle of campus. It's convenient to get some food that they need to help them make it through the week. You know, a lot of our students don't have transportation and they don't have access to community pantries, and so this is their one source for getting access to food. So we're proud that we're able to provide that for them. We have been working and partnering with FHL since 2016, we started partnering through Indie Fruit, doing produce pickups, and then we got pulled in to be a part of the network receiving from Midwest Food Bank, and so we're thrilled to be a part of that. We would definitely not have what we have in the pantry without the partnership with Merlin and FHL, and Indie Fruit is a huge blessing for us and for our students. That's our only way we receive fresh produce, and so we're super thankful for that opportunity.
What we're looking for in the future is to create opportunities that will empower our neighborhoods. United States is the #1 country in the world, and yet we have people who are starving. We have people who don't have enough money to provide nutritious food for their family, which is unheard of. It's hard to understand that in the greatest country in the world, the superpower in the world, where most people are dying to come to United States, and yet they find out that once they live here, that there are people who cannot afford to buy nutritious food. We want to encourage the different sectors of our society to take a look at this issue of food insecurity, that food insecurity is so much more than food. It actually starts with a person. And granted that some people may be in a situation that they may need food all the time, that they may need that assistance, but there are many people out there who are looking for a better life. I'm sure that people who come to the food pantry, they're looking forward for a brighter future. And why not use this opportunity when they come to food pantry? Why not use that opportunity to uncover the greatness of everyone, to be able to provide inspiration that they are not alone, that together we can make a better future for the next generation. The future of food pantries, part 1. It's not about food. So hopefully you were blessed by watching that short video that we put together. And as you can see, it was 2019. We just compiled the 2020 results of Missional Food Pantry, and it's astounding. And I think I shared it with you in the past that it's like 300 salvations we had in just one location. We gave away over 500,000 worth of food, and a lot of those come from the USDA Farmers to Families food boxes. Probably half of that came from them, which is thanks to U.S. government for doing that. But again, good things, all right? Good things, many good things may stop. So again, when is this Farmers to Families food boxes gonna stop? I heard it's gonna stop very soon, but I'm not going to make a statement on that because anything can change, but it will stop. The same thing as with Joseph. Remember when there was like 7 years of abundance, and then after that 7 years of famine happened. What did he do? And we'll talk more about this later on in the next episodes. But what happened was that Joseph trained small cities and put food banks, basically, and food pantries in those cities. He did not build an empire for the world to see. That, hey, Egypt, look at us, we have all of this, and then you come over because we have so much food available for all of you. He did not do that. God did not do that. He instructed Joseph to, instead of building a kingdom for Egypt, is to train, listen to this, he trained people how to transport food, how to start storage, how to distribute food to the people. So again, it's not about food. Egyptians in the middle of famine did not starve, and even the surrounding countries. So for now, that's why I'm saying that the future of food pantries And again, biblically, that's a big operation. That's a big problem. But the future of the food pantries back then in Egypt, it's not about food, it's the people. So we need to educate and train people, starting from our leaders, from pastors, ministry leaders, organizations, to volunteers, and also to our sponsors. And hopefully that will cascade to the recipients. My questions for you is, how can we empower people without training them? How can we empower people without educating them? How can we empower people without presenting the facts? How can we empower people if we don't have the right training to attain the vision that we have? Another question is that how can we involve the community to help our neighborhoods? Many times we just take it on our shoulder. Oh yeah, I'm the only food pantry in this area and I have to gather all this food. But when was the last time you actually go, other than going to a food bank, but go to the small businesses, the other churches who don't have food pantry, or hang invitation to another neighborhood and say, hey, would you like to be part of the solution rather than bickering about the problem? And giving away food is not enough. We know that people have deeper needs, especially now, this time of isolation, this time of pandemic, that many people are dying not because of lack of food, but because of starvation in relationship. We need to establish relationships with others and invest in people and community for self-sufficiency and long-term impact. As you see, food insecurity could be a symptom of many different challenges in people's lives. Again, it could be education, it could be maybe alcoholism or drug addiction, or maybe need counseling or financial literacy. We need to understand that in order for us not just to put bandage, but to actually prevent it from happening. We need to learn from the experts, from one another, and from different sources of information to encourage and educate people. We need to understand the deeper needs of our neighbors and to connect them with other community resources. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Until next video episodes that we have. But remember this, you have the power to bring kingdom solutions and resources to world problems and challenges. Until then, God bless you and see you at the next FHL community episodes.